Good afternoon, everyone. How you doing? I'm Secretary at the MSU Office for Scholars and Scholars. And thank you for attending our webinar about the new system, which we're very excited about. Thank you for attending our new system for MyOISS. It's a system we're very excited to launch. This application that we're showing today is the very first of forms of form online. So up until now, for the past 7 or 8 years, we've had J-1 scholars where it was possible to submit requests for new J-1 scholars, but it was never quite what we wanted because you couldn't submit extensions there, you couldn't submit applications for those that had already been a scholar before, you couldn't submit dependent requests. So we were kind of feet in both worlds. We have these paper applications for certain things, and then an electronic application for other things, and it was never really what we intended it to be. And so this system will allow us to eventually put everything online. So right now, to begin with, we're just going to have the J-1 Scholar applications online, just so it's going to be the same as what it's been for what it was with J-1 Scholar. Electronic applications will be done for new scholars only. But in the near future, we're going to be able to roll out the ability to do extensions and updates and add dependents and whatever else online. It's going to all be online. So we're very excited about that. But we need to show you how to use it. So we're giving you this webinar, and we're recording it for people to view this in the future so you can find out how to do this. And we're going to try to give you some tips along the way. So the first thing we do is to navigate. You can actually just go to myoiss.msu.edu. So that's myoiss.msu.edu. And that's going to bring you to this page. Now, one thing that's very important for you to remember, because you are university departments, do not be distracted by the bright blue attractive login button. That is not where you go to log in. This is where students and scholars will go to log in. Your link is down below where it says Administrative Services for University Departments. That is the link you will click to get to your services. So you click Administrative Services and you'll log in. So this is the screen that you'll see once you log in. So I'll give you guys a second. I don't know if you're going to be doing this at the same time. Well, I don't want you to put applications in as we do this. I'm just going to go along and show you. So what you'll do the first time you do this, you're going to need to expand departmental services. Now you're going to see something that says it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to say departmental access request. So we thought we'd set it up so that you would see that here, but unfortunately, no. Okay. Now you see it. Okay, departmental access request. So that's what you'll need to click on. This is going to give you, this is where you kind of apply for permission to submit J-1 requests. So you're going to fill in this information. So for campus, the two options are Michigan State University and the English Language Center. So of course you'll select Michigan State University. And the campus phone number requires all 10 digits. So I know we commonly use just 5, but make sure you add all of those. By the way, I've got the whole J team in the office here, and we're trouble. Yeah, and so Jess and Lady are here to answer questions as you bring them up during the webinar. Oh, that's my Okay, I confirm that I'm an administrator for the given department who's authorized by the department to take actions on its behalf. So check that box and then request access. Now what'll happen after you request access is we'll get notified that you need approval. And one of us will approve you. I mean, we know most of you, and you know, for the moment, we're just gonna pretty much approve anybody who requests the access, but it's gonna keep track of everybody, and that'll facilitate communication down the road. One thing that's important, you may get the email approval relatively quickly, but in order for you to actually take action, you will need to log out and log back in. So I'm gonna go ahead and log out of MyOISS. Should I do it incognito window again? Okay. Lady Jess, did one of you, you already approved? Okay, great. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my OISS. I'm gonna ignore the bright blue login button, click Administrative Services. And so there's a Departmental Services overview, which will show, in the future, it'll show you the case information, and you'll have a list of cases here in the current cases. And then as you click on those cases, it'll give you kind of the most recent action taken on that case. So that'll be a nice way for you to get like kind of live updates on how things are progressing through our office. But we're here today to show you how to add a new person. So I'm going to click Add New Person. So I've got some sample data here. So I have a fictional person that I grabbed from example passports off the internet. The first thing you do is you're establishing a profile for this person. I'm going to use somebody's email address here. Nick, I'm going to use yours. Again, for campus, select MSU, not the English Language Center. Requested immigration status, J-1. Someday there may be H-1s available through the same functionality. Right now, the only choice is J-1. Do you have an institutional university ID for this new profile? This would really, okay. Oh, I want to note here that the email address doesn't need to be an MSU email address. We're just using one of our own email addresses for testing purposes. But in most cases, this will not be an MSU email account here. For the institutional university ID, in most cases, the answer here is going to be no. In the future, we're going to, to do repeat scholars, so somebody who has been here as a scholar before, you will have an institutional university ID, and you'll be able to click yes and then enter it here. In most cases, people will not have been here before, and you're going to answer no. It also asks, do you have a network ID for this new profile? And again, in most cases, this is going to be no, unless they've been here before, or they're becoming a J-1 scholar after being like an F1 student or something like that. So if you say yes, then they're going to ask for the network ID, which is just the part in front of the @ sign in the MSU email account. But in most cases, this is going to be no. So once you fill in this page, you have Add New Person, and then you have a case. So here's our case. And because he's the only one, he's already selected. And then you can go down here where it says J-1 application for a new exchange visitor. And that's where you're going to start with the J-1 application. Now this info panel here is very helpful. This outlines all the steps in the process. This is kind of similar to how we had six different pages that you went through in J-1 Scholar. That's most of these things here. The key below tells you what each of these symbols next to the items means. The square items are requirements. The circular item is optional because not everybody has dependents that they're bringing in J2 status. So that may be skipped if somebody doesn't have family members, which is quite common. So we're going to start here at the J1 application instructions. So these are, this is a set of instructions. Some of this is revised content that we have updated. The occasion of starting a new system kind of gave us the opportunity to refresh our instructions to make them as updated and as clear as possible. So I would encourage you to take a moment to read these before you submit your first application through this system. We're also going to have this document available to you separately, so you don't have to log in and do everything just to see it. So we have this information available here. It kind of gives you an overview of the different sections, including instructions. We have much more detailed financial information. I know that's something, there's a lot of different ways that financial information can be represented. We're trying to cover all of them here and make it a little bit more clear and predictable how we evaluate those. So have a look at those. And then the departmental compliance certifications at the end, that's where your department chair will end up approving. And so once you have gone through and read those, you click this box to say that you've read and you understand all the instructions for the J1 Scholar application. If you have questions, you'll contact us. So you click the box and you click submit. Then the first item is marked as complete. Okay, so the next item is J1 applicant information. One thing that I want to point out is you can do this just as you've done the J1 Scholar, where you go through and you type in all this information. You do have the option right here where it says give the client access to complete this section. You can use that functionality to, for the applicant to get an email, and that'll give them access to complete all this biographical information themselves. That will also include dependent information, which kind of saves you from being the middleman, because I know right now you're getting all this biographical information and hand keying it in after they've already hand keyed it into the questionnaire or to an email, and this kind of simplifies that, hopefully. So you could do this if you want, but you do have the option to complete it all yourself if you wish. So I'm just going to go ahead and complete it. Just for simplicity's sake, complete it all myself. So surname, so I'm going off of the person's passport. This passport example here gives you kind of the model for how you can look. And sometimes there are some discrepancies between how the name is listed here and how the name is listed in the machine readable portion. This machine readable portion is actually more relevant than what is up here. So you probably want to look down here to see how the name is listed and use that spelling here, especially if there are special characters in the name. Like in this person, actually in this sample passport, there's a U with an umlaut and an I with an extra long dot over it, and those are not characters that we have, so they're modified to just a plain U and a plain I. So in most cases, the country of permanent residence and the country of citizenship will be the same. I know, like, sometimes it's not. Sometimes people hold permanent residence in a different country, something that that's not different from their country of citizenship. If that's the case, you would indicate the country of permanent residence, and you would upload proof of that permanent residence, just so we have that on file to show that the person does indeed have that legal permanent residence. We do this to avoid confusion. There have been times when somebody has said, oh yes, I'm a permanent resident of Italy, and then there are certain visa requirements that go along with that, particularly the 2-year home residence requirement, that has been done incorrectly before because of an incorrect disclosure when that person actually had like a student visa with an Again, in most cases, this is not going to be an MSU email account. This is just a sample. Most recent position in the home country. If you select student, you'll get the choice of undergrad or grad. If you select employee, you will get the fields for last occupation. All right, mailing address. I'm just going to use the OISS mailing address. Of course, this is probably going to be the foreign address, not the local address. But for this guy, it would probably be an Azerbaijani address. So then we have information about their past participation. So we need to know if the applicant is currently in the US. This might be true if they're already here for a J-1 program and they're transferring in. This might be true if they're here, maybe they're on F1 OPT. They might be as an F2 or a J2. There are a lot of different ways people are already here before they start a J-1 program. So we need to know if you say yes, we're going to ask for their current visa type, and as you can see, there's a lot of choices for that. And does the applicant plan to travel outside the US prior to coming to MSU? And that's so we can assess kind of the timeline, because in-country changes of status are taking a really long time right now, and so we want to kind of start a conversation about that. In most cases, the answer is going to be no. They'll be coming from abroad. The next question, has the applicant been in J1 or J2 status within the last 5 years? This is for us to assess whether or not the person might be subject to restrictions that might prevent their participation in the J1 program. If you say yes, we ask for the J1 visa category that they were in, which they should be able to tell you, and the approximate beginning and ending dates for each time they were in the US as J1 or J2 within the past 5 years. So if you enter information into this area, or if the applicant does, we'll probably be following up just to double check. In most cases, it's fine, and it doesn't result in a restriction, but we always we need to be diligent and check that. So in most cases, it would be no. Has the applicant previously been to Michigan State University? And this is, perhaps as a student or a visiting scholar or an employee in the past. So approximate dates, just so we can get some background and look into, ruling out any potential restrictions. So I'm going to say no here. And then there's a place to upload documents, but this isn't all of the document uploads. This is the ones pertaining to their biographical information. So I'm going to choose a file upload. The passport. Should be uploading. There we go. Then choose the resume or the CV. And then the proof of funding one, this one is not marked as required because it could be uploaded with the funding documentation screen that's later. So because there's two possibilities for an upload, and it also might be included in the invitation letter. So if the person's a J1 scholar who's also employed, there may not be a separate funding document. So it's not required, even though some kind of funding documentation is required for every application, but it might not be uploaded specifically here. And this other documents, this is just kind of a catch-all. I know that in J-1 Scholar, you've been using the other upload options for things like the host department confirmations or the English language. You'll have another opportunity to do that with the program information screen, so that does not need to be uploaded here. So you could upload the passport information, the resume, and you or the prospective scholar could upload proof of funding here if the funding's from somewhere else other than MSU. All right, so we're going to go ahead and submit that. It's going to take us back to the overview, which shows that the second step is now completed. Now, if the person is going to be bringing a dependent in J2 status, we're gonna go through that right now. I will say, just to note, that if the person has dependents who are not foreign citizens, so the most common example of this is people who are who have children that are born while they're here in the U.S. Perhaps while they were in the PhD program, they had children born here who are U.S. citizens, and in that case, we don't need to list them here. This is only for people who are not citizens or permanent residents of the U.S. We're going to go through this example here. I'm just going to pick America. No, I'm going to pick Angola here. Let's close to the top. Multinational family. All right, and again, if the country of permanent residence is different from the country of citizenship, we want to have that uploaded. Oh, one note we want to pass along is that the links in the webinar panel include an example of the email that the scholar would receive if you decide to have the scholar fill in the applicant information, the biographical information, and the dependent information. So you can just see. I'm sorry. Oh, the email reminder. Okay. Okay, so it's an email reminder just so you can see what that looks like. And then for each person, this is, so the country of permanent residence, it's often not needed, so this is not a required upload, but this last one here is a required upload. We need the passport information page for the dependent. No, I'm just gonna upload. Once that is fully uploaded, I'm gonna go ahead and submit. It's taking its time during the webinar. I think the webinar is maxing out my system a little bit. It's usually faster than this. Let's see if it'll let me submit. There, it showed up right then. Okay, so back to the overview. If there were a second dependent, I could add it there, but we're just gonna stick with one dependent right now. So this one, J-1 department contact information. This could be your information if you are the department contact. This could be, if you're filling it out but want somebody else to be the contact, you would put their information in here. This is who we're going to contact when the DS 2019 is ready to be picked up at the very end of the process. So I think in most cases this is going to be you, but not necessarily. Sometimes it's a different person. So I'm gonna fill out lady. All right, so now lady is the department contact on this. So then we're on to J-1 program information. where we're kind of getting down into exactly what they're going to be doing. So this is where you indicate whether this is for a new scholar, which if it's a new scholar, then you click initial. If they're already here in J-1 status specifically, and they're going to be transferring their J-1 status from another university in the United States to MSU, then you would click transfer instead, and there would be a whole group of fields that would pop up asking what institution are they transferring from, when do they expect to transfer, who's the contact person. And a note about the contact person, sometimes people put like the faculty at the previous institution. This is actually our counterpart. So the person who is like a scholar officer in the international office at the school that's going to be transferring the record. We want to talk to our counterpart. Their phone number, intended programs. So that's the end of the transfer step. Then we have the key dates, the program start date, the program end date. So I'm going to say January 1st, 2019. J-1 exchange visitor category, and below we have kind of a cheat sheet for what each of these categories means. I'm going to check research scholar. And then the field in which the scholar will be engaged. I would encourage you to look at the Classification of Instructional Programs website, which we've linked right here, to kind of establish which of the codes you're going to be choosing. So I'm just going to pick like biomedical engineering. So the broad category would be engineering. And then I'm going to type in biomedical engineering. So if you look at the classification of instructional programs, you'll see what the broad category is and the name of the field that you want. And that those, while the numbers aren't in here, the terms are, the names are. So if you find it in the classification of instructional programs website, you'll be able to input it here. Then we have the site of activity. So the physical location where the J-1 scholar will be working or studying. Please note that we want to know where they're actually going to be conducting the activity. So don't put like the central administrative office if they're going to be at a lab on the other end of the building or the next building. We want to know where that lab is. We want to know where they're going to be doing their work. Where can they be found on a day-to-day basis? That's really what we're looking for. Oh wait, site location, whoops. So address 2 is going to be the building name and or room number. And then this is something that's going to make it easier to report secondary sites of activities. If you know ahead of time that there are going to be 2 different places where this scholar is going to be conducting his or her program, you can say, will the scholar have a secondary site of activity? Yes, and you can enter that information here. This is not super common, but it does happen. And so we want to make it easier for people to report that on the front end if you know that that's what's going to happen from the beginning. In most cases, it'll be no. And we have a question about health insurance. Pretty much, if this person is going to be an employee, you indicate the department. If the person is not going to be an employee, you indicate the scholar. Okay. So faculty host extending invitation. Smart lady. Jess is a smart lady. So here's where we have the program-oriented documentation upload field. So we have the letter of invitation. So that'll be the letter that your faculty member issues to invite the person here. It should follow our template, which has not changed. Exchange visitor English proficiency confirmation. So there's a form that you'll use to indicate English proficiency. Now it's nice and fast. And then the host department confirmations, which is something that we implemented about a year ago to better communicate, the role of the host department and what you're agreeing to when you agree to host, particularly for our faculty members who are doing the hosting. And then if there's something else that you want to include, there's an optional other upload option here. But those are the 3 that are required on this screen. So once you've uploaded everything and filled it in, click submit. All right, almost done. So the last information screen is the J-1 financial information. So this is the same information that appears in the instruction. So it's just kind of put in 2 places. So it's, it's hard to miss. So then down here, we'll ask for the source of the funding. This guy, he's get 30,000 from MSU. And then here's another option, funding documentation upload field. So, cancel. So if required the funding is from outside MSU and if the prospective J-1 scholar did not already upload proof of this one. So it's optional because it might have been done somewhere else, but somebody's got to upload it somewhere at some point. But if it's from MSU, it'll be the invitation letter. All right, so then the last step is the compliance certification, which that goes through to the department chair. One thing that's vastly different about this system from the J-1 Scholar system is with J-1 Scholar, you had to set up the person in advance. So you had to fill out an e-arm in advance to tell IT services, this is a person who is authorized to approve J-1 Scholar applications for this department. You don't have to set those up in advance anymore, which is very nice. So you can designate who it's going to be. With that in mind, though, we do want you to have somebody with the authority to make commitments on behalf of the department. So we know that sometimes department chairs are like, can't you just sign it? You just do it. That's not really what we want. And that's part of why we have the host department certifications, is because when departments agree to host a J-1 scholar, they're signing on to a list of obligations. And we want to make sure that there is kind of a central acknowledgement from a higher authority in the department that they are okay with the department taking on these obligations. And so it's, if the department chair is traveling and out of email range, fine. Who signs things when the department chair is absent? That's really who should be signing these on a regular basis. So we're going to have an example here. I'm going to send this to you, Nick. You should send to yourself. Oh, okay, good idea. Nick says I should send it to myself. Okay, so there's also a sample email in the webinar. All right, I understand that all additional materials required by the applicant and the sponsoring department must be received in order to complete this application. This is because you do have the option to send the scholar the option to complete the applicant information and the dependent information, and then you can fill in everything else while waiting for them to fill that out as well. So you might be doing this before that person has filled out their piece of it. So this is just, making sure that you understand that just by submitting this, it's not necessarily the last step. There could be still some things pending. This is acknowledging you understand that the export control worksheet has to be approved before we can create the DS 2019, and that is a completely separate process from this application with our office. And then just a confirmation that you will ensure the J-1 Scholar reports to OISS for check-in immediately after arrival in the United States. Usually that happens anyway, but we just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page with how urgent it is for them to come check in and activate their programs after arrival. Submit. Okay. So then this is now waiting for me as the department chair to sign it. So I will quickly log in here. This is what the email looks like that your department chair will receive. And again, there's a copy of this available for you as like a PDF, so you can have a look at it. So I'll click on this. And it automatically will put the chair's temporary password provided by MyOISS in here. So all they should have to do is click login. Okay, so scroll down. So the person should scroll down and then they should say whether they approve of this person being hosted in their department. Yes, and then we have these confirmations that say, again, we understand that the person has to come check in immediately after arrival. This is understanding that the department is to notify the international office, so OISS, if the program is delayed, if there's a change in the program, if it ends early, or if termination becomes necessary for whatever reason. We just need to be kept in the loop on those things, yes. And then finally, the understanding that I'm committing my department to all of the obligations described in the host department confirmations form that is being submitted with this application. And there's it's a link that the department chair can click to look at what all of those obligations are before they go ahead and indicate that yes, they're okay with all that. They want to take a look. So once they acknowledge all those things and click yes, then it's submit. All right. So then I'm going to and so this shows me that the last updated departmental e-form on file for this individual is the compliance certification, which is the one for the department chair, which was updated at this time on this day. So you can see what the last action taken on the case was. Now, when we log into our interface for MyOISS, we will have this as a case. It's going to be automatically distributed to one of the J-1 advisors, and the case will be there for us to address once, you know, it's just going to become part of our caseload moving forward. And we will continue to address them in the order that we receive them. All right. Do we have any outstanding questions? People submitted questions that we still need to address. No, you've addressed them all. Okay, so it sounds like Jess and Lady have been addressing questions. And Nick. Good question. So how this transition is going to happen is tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. J-1 Scholar is going dark. So between now and 11:30 is your last opportunity. If you want to use the old system, that's your last opportunity to submit it under that system. This is live now. Mm-hmm. So you can start using MyOISS at any time.
They can request permission now.
But yeah, you can request permission now. We can start approving you now. Yeah, so I mean, it's live. You can start using it already, but it's going to become your only option after 11:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. All right. Are there any other questions out there? Looks like another one popped up. Oh, just another reminder that after you do get approved, after we approve you, you do need to log out of MyOISS and log back in. That was something that we found during testing, that was kind of a catch for people. So go ahead and make sure that once we approve you, you log out and log back in.
Okay, 2 more questions. Does the J-1 scholar upload their passport financial info as well when completing their section? At least I have one question, so we'll just start typing answers. What happens to the cases that are pending in the old system? How about that?
Oh, we're definitely working through the queue. They're not going to disappear. We are saving them off of the system before it's turned off, and we're going to continue to address those in the order that they're received. And we're going to be hand entering them into our new system. So you don't have to worry about that. We're going to take care of them.
And then will the profiles from JScholar be transferred to MyOISS?
Yes, the profiles from J-1 Scholar. So the scholars who are active right now are already in MyOISS. And eventually, anybody who's been here over the past 5 years is going to show up is going to be available in MyOISS as well. So if somebody was here like 2 years ago, you'd be able to find their old profile and submit a new program request for them. The historic data is not in there yet, but it's not going to be long before it's in there. Of course, in most cases, you're not doing that. If you're doing that in the near future, please feel free to email us about that. But overall, if you're bringing in somebody who hasn't been a J-1 scholar here before, it should work just fine. Anybody who's an active J-1 scholar now, you should find them in there, and you'll eventually be able to submit extension requests. We're going to roll that out and probably have another short webinar to describe that functionality.
And then if we already have access to the old system, do we automatically have access to the new system?
Good question. If you have access to the old system, do you automatically have access to the new system? No. Actually, there wasn't a request. It's kind of interesting because with J-1 Scholar, anybody who had faculty or staff status at MSU was automatically given access to submit J-1 Scholar requests, but you had to specifically set up the department chair. It's kind of opposite now. Now you have to request access, although it's not nearly as hard as the ERM was for the department chairs. It's a lot easier, and we're going to be monitoring that, especially right now. We're going to be monitoring that pretty frequently and approving people as those requests comes in. We're just going to approve them as quickly as possible. But the department chairs don't have to be set up in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Does the J-1 scholar upload their passport financial info as well when completing their section?
So yeah, the question is, does the J-1 scholar upload their passport and financial information as well when completing their section? Yes, they do have the option to do that. They have the option to submit, to upload those documents as well. Although, you do as well. So you can, I would encourage you to do that. I think it makes your lives easier, I hope. That's the hope.
Okay, to go back to the access question, how do we request access then? ERM, someone asked?
No, the ERM is the old system. You don't have to do any more ERMs ever again, hopefully, for J-1 purposes. To request access, you would log into myoiss.msu.edu. You would click on Departmental Services, and because I've been approved, you can't see it, but it says request departmental access or something like that. And so when you click on Departmental Services, you'll have one option there. And that one option is the one that you need in order to request the access. So complete that request, log out, and then you'll get an email when we approve you.
And then what if someone in another department and you agree to let them stay an additional year with your department sponsoring? Is it the same procedure as someone outside of MSU who transfers to MSU? So switching departments. So
switching departments within MSU. We haven't set up that functionality yet. So in the meantime, why don't you contact us? But updates of that nature aren't possible through MyOISS yet, but it is not the same as a transfer from another university. So a transfer from another university will be submitted here as kind of a new program request. But if somebody's switching departments within MSU, it's going to be handled as an update.
And then it's the university ID, their MSU net ID. They were here previously.
So the university ID is not the net ID. It would be, if they had a ZPID, it would be that. And you may, if they didn't have a ZPID before, you may not know. Don't use the FPID. It's not going to be that. You can leave that field blank. So if you're not 100% sure what it was, don't fill that in. The net ID is what is the second one. So the username is what that would be.
Okay. What if you work for multiple departments?
If you work for multiple departments, that shouldn't restrict you. Like previously in J-1 Scholar, had a tie-in with EBS and it looked at what unit you were employed under with EBS. We don't have that. It's all, what you disclose as the department. So it's a little bit less restrictive in that way, and probably less problematic for those of you who do work with multiple departments.
Oh, okay. So will we be notified by email when the scholar has completed their section?
Yes, you will get an email notification when the scholar completes their section. You'll get an email notification when your department chair finishes their section as well.
Okay. Do we have to request access for the unit approver?
No, you don't have to request access for the unit approver. So that's kind of the department chair sign off that you get to specify with each application who's signing off on it. We're kind of trusting you to tell us who the department chair should be in this case, and modifying it if the department chair is out of town, out of the country, and there's a substitute who has the signature authority for the department in the department chair's absence.
Mm-hmm. And then what if we have outstanding forms that have been disapproved and require additional information?
We're going to follow up with you via email. We're going to kind of do an outside the lines process for those that would need a resubmission. So please contact us, either if you are working directly with one of our advisors, whether it's Jess or Lady or Takashi, please contact that person directly. If you're not sure, you can always email jvisas@msu.edu and it can be directed to the correct person. Yeah.
Does my department chair need to request access?
No, department chairs don't need to request access. You could specify it with each application. All right. Any other questions?
Will there be additional sessions?
Will there be so as we roll stuff out? Yes. So this is I don't think we may be tweaking this application because it's new. We might, put some clarifying language, but we're probably not going to make any major changes to this application in the foreseeable future. However, we are going to be rolling out additional forms. So when we roll out extensions, we'll do another webinar. When we roll out updates or add dependents or, anything like that, we're going to as we roll out functionality, we'll do more sessions to make sure you know how to use it. All right. Any final questions?
Oh, where can we find the webinar after today?
We're gonna post it.
J-1 Scholar application page.
So the J-1 Scholar application. So
On
MyOISS website.
okay, so if you go to the OISS website to the J-1 Scholar application page, I think we could send out an email with the link as well. So we'll make sure you can either navigate to the J-1 Scholar section of our website, and we're also going to send out an email with the link so you can view it there, and share it with anybody who might have missed this webinar.
How long will it take to get access once we've requested it?
Right now, we're going to be checking it. We're going to be hitting refresh like we're a high school student on Facebook. Oh, no, they don't do Facebook anymore, do they? Instagram, Snapchat, is that the kids? Okay, whatever. We're going to be hitting refresh a lot and approving you guys because we want to make sure everybody gets in this system as quickly as possible. All right. One more?
Thanks, Joe.
Oh, thanks. Great. Well, thank you guys for your partnership on this. We're excited to step into this new system, and we look forward to working with you and having this tool make our collective lives a lot easier in the near future. So thank you for your time and attention, and enjoy your evening. Oh, one more.
Does it work in all browsers?
Does it work in all browsers? Yeah. Yes, it does. All right. Great. Thank you all. Oh, is there another one?
Thank you. Oh.
Okay, it's just a thank you. All right. Thank you too. Bye-bye.
Okay.